Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Zhang, and I'm a director on the Mining and Metals Investment Banking team at National Bank. I'm pleased to be your conference moderator again this morning. Next up, please help me welcome Marc Bédard, Chief of Operations, Custom Metallurgical Assets for Zinc and Copper of Glencore Canada. Glencore Canada is a leading global natural resources company with major mining and metallurgical operations across Canada. Please put your hands together for Marc.
Thank you. Bonjour à tous. C'est un plaisir d'être ici ce matin avec vous. Toujours un plaisir d'être dans la ville de Québec. Merci beaucoup aux organisateurs pour cet événement qui nous permet de nous rassembler ici. Sounds like I have to do this in English this morning, so let's get this done. What I want to talk about this morning is the importance of the midstream. So I know that there was a lot of conversation around the importance of mining and getting the ore out of the ground, but what we do with it after is quite key as well. So if we don't have metallurgical facilities in order to process the material that gets out of the ground, we're still facing an important challenge. So just before I get started, maybe just who we are, Glencore. I'm the COO of all the custom metallurgical assets worldwide for Glencore. So Glencore, it's basically 150 sites worldwide, in more than 30 countries. We've got more than 50 marketing offices, and we employ more than 150 people worldwide. The differentiator for Glencore is the fact that we operate industrial assets combined with marketing, so we can sell our products worldwide. In Canada, we've got an important presence, and it goes back 100 years ago with Noranda and Falconbridge that were purchased by Xstrata and now Glencore. As you can see, we play a key role in the production of critical minerals throughout Canada. So we can see on the screen, we've got copper, zinc, cobalt, gold, platinum, and much more. And the reason why we're able to do this in Canada is that we've got an important network of sites. So it all starts with mining. So we've got 3 mines in Canada. I'm talking just base metal. In Raglan, where we produce nickel and cobalt. That material goes through Sudbury, and there's mines also in Sudbury, basically copper and nickel. And then we've got the kit operations as well in Timmins that produces copper and zinc. And what do we do with all that material once it's out of the ground? Then we send it to our metallurgical assets. Most are based in Quebec. So we've got the Horn Smelter in Rouyn-Noranda, the CCR refinery that takes all the material from the Horn Smelter in Montreal, and CE Zinc in Valleyfield, which produces zinc, and we also have General Smelting, which is a small lead producer. So the fact that all these sites are here makes it great because all the ore coming out of the ground goes into our facilities, gets refined, gets processed, and then we can keep the entire production chain in Canada. I think it's important to say that we do the exact same worldwide. So this is just a quick snapshot of the sites that I manage. So the setup that I was talking about in North America exists also in Europe. So that really enables us to take the material from our own mines in those regions, also provide services to juniors or other companies that don't have metallurgical facilities to process the material through, and also to import a lot of material, concentrate, recycling material from other regions to add value in those regions in order to produce the minerals that we need for the future. Just want to go back to North America. These sites have been there for quite a while, so we go back 100 years, and the reason why they're still in operation is that they have been able to differentiate themselves from the competition. So yes, you need a good process. Yes, you need to be productive. You need to be efficient, but you also need to find a way to differentiate yourself. And what those assets have been able to do is that they've been able to process material that other sites are not able to do, but they also do a lot of recycling. So what's important to understand is that in Canada, there's a huge gap between supply and demand when you look at the relationship between the mines and the met assets. So in other words, there is not enough material for the met assets to be full. So they got to find ways in order to fill the production capacities and stay competitive. So how do we do this? We use recycling. So best example that I can use is your best friend, your cell phone. So once you're done with it, we collect it, we shred it, and we send it to our copper smelter up in Rouyn-Noranda. And I think it's important to understand that to do recycling, it's important to have the size in order to be competitive. But more than just the size, you need to have the right process to recover all the metals. So just in the cell phone, we're talking copper, gold, silver, palladium, platinum, nickel, lead. So there is a lot of metals that needs to be recovered. And if you don't have the right process, it's very difficult to do it. But on top of having the right process at one facility, you need a network of facility, because sometimes, or not sometimes, but most of the time, a copper smelter can do very well copper, but cannot recover all the lead and all the nickel, for instance. So if you have other met assets that can do this, altogether, it gives you a great competitive advantage. So what we process, as I said, we've been able to stay in business because we're able to diversify ourselves to process material that others cannot do. So there's a variety of materials that we're able to process in these facilities. However, right now it's quite worrying what's going on in the smelting world. So we've got a lot of good assets here in Canada, but we're facing a lot of competition right now. So in other words, what's going on right now is there is not enough material for all the metallurgical assets worldwide. So we need more mines, we need more production coming from the ground. And the impact for us right now, because of the lack of material, is that we're all fighting for it. So what it does is it drives the treatment charge. So basically we're getting paid to process material, and the fee that we're charging is at an historical low right now. So it makes it very, very difficult to compete. Even that at some point last year, instead of being paid to get the material, we had to pay to get the material. So we were losing money on every ton that we were processing. So that's a very worrying environment right now when you look at the smelting world. And I'm just trying to gain a bit of time this morning, but this is the last slide of the presentation. And I think it's a very worrying slide when we look at historically what happened in North America. And I'm just going to talk about copper, but the same applies to nickel and zinc and lead and any other base metal. So what we have seen over the last 15 years is a lot of metallurgical assets have disappeared from the map in North America. They were not able to compete. They were not able to stay in business. And the end result of this on the copper side, and copper, as you know, is quite critical for the new economy. So when you want to transmit electricity, you need copper. So you need copper in a lot of application. And when you look at the supply and demand over the next 10 years, we see a huge gap when we talk about copper. But in North America, right now, there's only 3 copper smelters left to take the material from the copper mines or from any other facility that has copper as a byproduct and bring it to the finish line as a pure product. So the only one is Rio Tinto in Salt Lake, Freeport in Arizona, and the Horn Smelter in Rouyn-Noranda, combined with the CCR refinery in Montreal. So when you look at this picture, this is worrying. I know there's a lot of conversation about we need to do more to get the ore out of the ground, but if we get the ore out of the ground and then we don't have any facility to process it in North America or even in Canada, then the ore that comes out of the ground is going straight to China or elsewhere. So we're back to square one. So my message here is that we need to protect that industry. We need to do more to protect our metallurgical assets. They bring a lot of value. I'm talking about processing of metals, but they also produce a lot of sulfuric acid that we need for many applications. So these assets are quite important and key to protect for the entire industry. And that was the last slide. Tried to get back on schedule. I won't take any question. Thank you very much.